Welcome to Saturday Morning Tutorials.
I thought I'd already gotten rid of you two. Guess I don't have to look like this
anymore. You two, how are you here? I threw you through a freaking wormhole! I mean, can't you accept that you've already lost? I've got big plans in motion.
Too bad!
Jerk.
Listen, Professor, man, I realize that fighting isn't the answer. I've reached the 5th awakening. It's more powerful than anything you could possibly throw at me.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Well, I've taken all your cool stuff, taken your headquarters, taken ProductionCrate. Now I think I'm going to take your powers as well.
Professor, if you strike me down, it's gonna hurt.
You really shouldn't have come back, boys. Perfect. Now on to... What is this?
Your greed cannot coexist with the 5th awakening, man.
What? No, this can't... I can see everything so clearly now. Oh, it's like I have two voices in my head.
You've already lost.
This isn't done. This is only the beginning.
Dang it, I lost all my cool abilities. Well, this sucks.
It does suck, but at least we'll never hear from that old professor again.
What?
Oh no, I said at least we'll never hear from that old professor ever again.
He just disappeared. He's literally the most powerful being in the entire universe. I don't think he's gone. He's coming back.
You know, forget it. Forget the whole thing. Hey, how about we go rummage through his personal belongings? He's known for having cool stuff.
You know what, Adrian? I think that's a fantastic idea. Let's do it. That was an awesome finale to Season 1. Season 2 is gonna start next week. Yep, no wait time. We're going right into it, so dry those eyes, crybabies. We ain't going nowhere. Sorry I called you crybabies. Moisten up the lips. Moisten the lips.
Right here is the effect that we wanted to recreate. It's from Doctor Strange.
We shot this in 60 frames per second because we knew we would be doing some time remapping, and this just helps make it look a little bit smoother.
The way Chris was able to lean back so far was that we secretly had a second person, his name is me, there to support him, and I'll always be here, Chris.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Well, anyway, I gotta go.
Sit your butt down.
We also got a clean plate as well, so we could remove this helpful dude later in After Effects.
Yep, we actually want to handle the time remap first. So in After Effects, right click on this layer, come up to time and select enable time remapping. Add a new keyframe on whichever frame you want to make your first frame, and add another keyframe at the point where your actor, very talented actor, has fallen back as far as you want them to go. Hit F9 to easy ease both of these.
If you're pretty new to After Effects, it is possible that you've never clicked this button before.
Well, what's that do?
It's going to take us to the graph editor, which we can use to have some more control over the easing of our keyframes. Each of these keyframes has a yellow square associated.
What does this do? If I move this up here, what does this do?
It messes everything up, dog. Each of the keyframes has a little yellow square associated with it, along with these two handles. All we need to do is grab the handles and move each of them as far to the left as we can, and this will give us the smoothest ease possible.
We also don't want any doubling up of the frames, so we'll need to turn on frame blending for this layer. Click the frame blending switch twice. I don't know why they don't sound the same. We also need to activate frame blending for the composition. Frame blending is similar to the motion blur in this way.
Now that that's done, we can roto out Chris's little helper. Add a new solid above this layer and draw your masks there, and use the solid as an alpha matte.
See ya, Adrian.
Bye.
Unfortunately, frame blending can be a bit of a render hog.
Oh no, here he comes.
Again.
Get out
Every
of here,
episode you're
render
gonna
hog.
be here. This guy.
How do we fight the render
You
hog?
suck, render hog. There are a few ways to defeat the render hog. The way we're going to do it this time is we'll render out our entire time remap scene and import it back in. This is going to save us tons of time down the road. It's going to take care of that porky fell over there.
The lights should flash on and then dim after Chris gets hit, so we can do that with an animated exposure effect. We also decided to desaturate the green because we have that big old green screen in the background and it's ugly, and this shot is supposed to be pretty.
The shot that we're going to use for my actual spirit was shot in a separate room on a black backdrop.
Astral projections, bro.
We used some very contrasty high-key lighting.
That's how you set up light.
To get these shots to match up, we took a reference picture of the camera from the previous location, and then Adrian was able to direct me like a puppet to get the two shots to match up.
And your right arm, put it up much higher. Even higher, higher. Too high. No, actually, that's great.
I then just sat back slowly into a chair and rotated to simulate what it's like to be a ghost.
This was shot in 60 frames per second as well, so in After Effects we were able to slow it down a bit, and we used the levels to crush out all the detail in the dark areas to make it look totally black. We did have to roto out some parts like the feet and the chair, but for the most part, this was pretty easy.
We brought the soul clip back into the comp with our rotoscoped shot from earlier and did our very best to match them up. Then we added some position and rotation keyframes to make the soul go shooting backwards. We eased those keyframes and used the graph editor to make the easing super duper smooth.
We added a black solid as well and drew some masks on it for the part where we want Chris's real body to overlap his spirit body. We then pre-composed the spirit and the solid together, and we changed that pre-comp to a screen transfer mode.
If we open up that pre-comp, we can do some more work on the spirit itself. We want these echoes to kind of come off of it, so let's change the layer to a lighten transfer mode. Move to the point where we want the first echo to come off and duplicate the layer. You'll see no change because the lighten transfer mode does not add any extra brightness.
Without moving the playhead, hit U on the keyboard to call up the keyframes and delete them, and now hit Alt and the right bracket key to trim it to start at this point. We can now animate the opacity to make it fade away. It also looks cool to add a fast box blur and animate that as well, so it blurs out as it fades. We also found that we like the look of animating the position to move forward a bit as it fades away, but this is all just a matter of taste.
If we bring this layer to the bottom of the layer stack and add an adjustment layer on top of it, we can add an echo effect to that.
A what kind of effect?
An echo effect. Echo effect to add to that. We turned the time down to -0.05, added a little bit of decay, and turned up the number of echoes. This combined with the blurring just gives us a real nice, ethereal, smoky kind of effect.
Now that we know how to add these echoes, we can make as many as we want and just drop them all below the adjustment layer.
But back in the main comp, we added CC toner to this layer to give it some golden coloring. We turned the blend to 50 to preserve some of the original colors. We also put a tint above that, and we also turned that one to 50% to keep the saturation from getting out of control. Easy there, saturation.
We also decided to toss in some mist wisps from ProductionCrate for good measure.
Wisps.
And we copied the same color effects onto them. However, if you do this, you might notice it doesn't work.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. You jerk.
It's just because of the alpha channel, man. Drop in a solid composite effect onto these and change the color to black and move it up to before the rest of the effects, and you'll notice that now it works.
I noticed. You know, it would be cool to have the ghost displace the background a bit. There's obviously the displacement map effect, but don't worry, there's another cool way to do this, and that's gonna be CC glass. Let's make a new adjustment layer below the ghost, spirit, soul, astral projection layer, or whatever you want to call it, and apply CC glass, selecting that layer as the bump map. This effect gives us that nice highlight, which added to our whole theme of echoes, clones, and stuff, but we didn't like having it above the spirit, so we changed the angle until it was in a position that we liked.
The last thing we need to tie this all together is a sort of blurry trail that connects all the parts of the spirit together. Unfortunately, the only way to do this is with an extreme echo effect.
It's pretty extreme.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a huge render hog. Oh no.
You had to say it.
Oh no, here he comes.
Oh, he's doing a little dance this time.
All
You think that's cute? That's not cute.
I don't like this guy, but if you guys think you're up for it, here's how it's done.
Duplicate the spirit layer and use the curves to mostly crush everything but the highlights. Apply the echo and change the number of echoes to 100. Set the operator to maximum and add a little bit of decay. You can play with the timing, but the default value actually worked pretty well for us. Apply a fast box blur over this and turn it up just a little bit. We also added a vector blur and turn that up a bit too. These blurs are going to help tie the echoes together and make them look more like one solid thing rather than a bunch of slices. We also want a cool shockwave.
Cool shockwave.
When Professor Unicorn hits me in my chest. This is done easily with an adjustment layer over everything. Apply a bulge effect and put the center over that dastardly professor's hand. Set the height to about 0.5 and the size to something small, which for us was about 100. Over time, animate the size to grow extremely large while also animating the height to 0.
The very last thing to do is pre-comp everything and zoom in on the actors, and then over time zoom back out using the same easing tricks as we did before. And now our shot is finished.
This is the semi-official end to Season 1. It has been very fun so far, but as you know, things continue, and next week we are doing something out of this world. Did I already use that teaser? We're doing something from... We're doing a portal effect.
That's a great idea. Let's do it. ProductionCrate. ProductionCrate. Back in the house. Where's my mic? No, yeah. We'll do it. Okay, this is way more than we need.